Welcome everyone to the Turn In podcast. We've a special guest on today to have a wee chat. It's a special sort of segment considering we lost one of Dundalk's great footballing men, Des Casey. We're going to bring in Tony O'Kane to have a wee chat with us. Tony,
how are you,
how's
Steph?
things?
All good, Steph. How are you?
That's great. And it's just first want to thank you for taking the time out and coming in. I'm sure you're a busy man as usual.
I'm not a busy man at all. No, I'm a man of leisure. I have a few things to do during the day, but I have a lot of time on my hands too. So
that's brilliant. It's a sort of welcome excuse to have a chat with somebody about football, especially Dundalk, and I'm sure one of your old friends, Des.
Absolutely, over the years. So God, we go back a long time. A long time. So yeah, it was a great adventure when he was there. Especially his days at the FAI, and he was a great help to me, ticket-wise, and I'm sure to a lot of people in town. He was a man that never refused tickets to anyone. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, I suppose you're probably going back, just linking in with his own family. I suppose the great tradition the Casey family has with the club. How important were they to the club and still are, I suppose, at the current time?
Well, that's it. Well, Des told me a bit about his father, and I think it was 1936 when they took over, when they inherited Oriel Park, and that was the beginning. It was always known then as Casey's Field. That's the name lived with it. Des joined, I think, Dundalk, the board in 1963, and he spent years as secretary of the club, various treasurer, etc., and then progressed from there to the FAI. He became secretary of the League of Ireland, and then with the FAI as such, and finished up as president of the FAI, and then recognition in UEFA, being vice president of UEFA, and he was also on the UEFA Youth Committee for years. So he's an absolutely great CV.
Yeah, he's well decorated, and I suppose, look, knowing little bits and pieces, not knowing him personally, but just knowing little bits and pieces and stories about him, no matter whether you're right at the top of the game or just starting out at the game, he seemed to have time for everyone, and he didn't pass anyone by, and once it showed his great love of Dundalk as well.
Absolutely. I'm just looking at. I put up a little post there, tribute to him, and I'm just looking at all the amount of people that have put in a post. He got me tickets for this match, and he got me tickets for a Liverpool match, and he got me tickets for a cup final. Loads of people. He was a man that never turned anyone away from his door, and if he could do a favour ticket-wise, he certainly would. He had great ties when Peter Robinson was the chairman of Liverpool, and Dundalk had a very close relationship with Liverpool between Paddy McCourt, and Enda McGuill and Des. And no matter what you wanted at Liverpool that time, Des always come up with the goods. It was a great connection. And sadly, Peter Robinson then stepped down as chairman. And over the years, the committees and chairmans all changed, and the bond was lost a bit, So, but we had a great connection with Des in those early years with Liverpool.
Yeah, it's fantastic to hear some of them little stories coming through, and that's the caliber of the man he was. He'd help anyone out. I suppose just touching on his time with the FAI, I suppose we can't not talk about the connection he had, and I think he sort of had a good deal with bringing Jack Charlton into the Ireland hot seat.
Yeah, well, he was president now when Jack Charlton was appointed, and he was the main man that brought Jack Charlton to Ireland, and the appointment at the time, I remember, wasn't taken. There were a lot of fans disgruntled, let's say, and because it was the first non-Irish manager ever. All the managers from the FAI ever began were all of Irish descent, and it was strange. A lot of people thought bringing in an Englishman, Jack Charlton. And I remember they played the first match in Dundalk Park, I think. And there were a few banners out there that weren't too happy with the appointment of Jack Charlton. But you saw the legacy he left us, and 10 of the most glorious years in Irish football. But yeah,
Yeah.
Des definitely, like, that was his choice. I know the ballot went to and fro. There was a few other candidates in, but Jack ended up coming out of the hat. So that was all due to Des.
Yeah, he stamped his authority on it. I suppose. Look, he probably got a feeling for it, and inevitably he was proven right. I suppose Jack Charlton was probably an adopted Irishman after not too long,
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
what a I'd say the town and the country was celebrating celebrating long into the 90s and the
Well,
94 World Cup, like some great
yes,
memories back then.
well, for me, it was the best 10 years. I started going to the Element Park to support Ireland in the late 50s, and I saw
Yeah.
international after international. And the one wish, growing up in that era, into the early 60s, I'd love to see Ireland in a World Cup before I die. That was an ambition of mine, and look at the success he brought us, European Championships and World Cups. And it was just a dream come true. And the whole country is on a high for 10 years, everywhere we went. And we were on the big stage in world football at that time, big stage.
Yeah, right at the top. And look, they can count themselves very unlucky against that Italian side in the 90s, and who can forget the Ray Houghton goal in the 94 World Cup as well against Italy,
Yeah, well,
of course, as well. So
yeah, I was there at most of all those matches. I went to Italia 90 and I was in America for the World Cup, and brilliant times, absolutely brilliant. It was just great. And I had the pub at the time, and there was 50 of us. We travelled to nearly every single match that Ireland played, home or away, and great times. And Des was there at the end of all those tournaments and whatever, and he was the man to supply the tickets.
Incredible. Obviously, your time as chairman then, you would have had some dealings with the Casey family, and obviously the installing of the 3G pitch as well. So how did you find your dealings with the Casey family? And
there was never a problem. There was never a problem with Des in regard to anything that was to be done to the pitch. Des was all for progress as such, and Sean Connolly was in with me at that time, ex-FAI CEO, and listen, it was a desperate time at Dundalk Football Club. I never remember a worse time, and it was harrowing, like the position we were in. I remember a couple of games there where we virtually hadn't paid the players for weeks. There was one occasion there against Finn Harps, and I had to go up, and the players refused to travel. It was that's how bad it was at that time, And we came up with the idea is this is probably the only thing that could save the club, was putting in an artificial surface simply to produce revenue, But it was a daunting time at the club, and the debt was immense. Absolutely, there were money owed to everyone, And it was a hard decision to make, Yeah, but
serious pressure.
Yeah, Des never stood in the way of anything like that at Oriel Park, and I know Des's love of the club and everything. Like he was practically getting a pittance for rent, and he'd say that to this day. Like the Casey Trust is just not Des. There's 6 people involved in that Casey Trust, other relatives and of his sisters and family, and they'd be getting really nothing out of the rent of Oriel Park, nothing.
Yeah, so
but the only hope that Des. Sorry, Steph, go ahead.
It's probably just the love of the club that sort of, like they don't have to do that, and it's great that they do. That probably sustains the club as well.
I know, and Des always said to me, Tony, after my day, I don't know what's going to happen with the Casey Trust. He says I hold it together as such, but there'll be other people who make decisions on it, what's to be done and whatever. But there was never an objection from Des ever to doing anything Oriel Park. Once it was progression or the club were moving on, he was fully behind it,
Yeah.
So,
I think it's probably fitting now that they've renamed the stadium for the rest of the year back to it's going to be the Des Casey Field, isn't it?
That's it. That's his legacy, the Des Casey Field. Everyone in my generation growing up, my father and everyone didn't call. I was never called Oriel Park. I was called, "Oh, you're going to Casey's Field," you know. So,
Yeah,
so yeah, it's a
yeah,
it's a legacy. Yeah, and I'm delighted the club have doing that for him to honour him. Yeah.
yeah. It's a lovely touch, and even some of the younger generations who might know now will just sort of ask the question, and it sort of prolongs a wee bit of a legacy about himself and the family as well. So it's a lovely touch from the club, and I'm delighted to have done it. Like,
Yeah, it's fantastic. I know that the present generation, the shed side and all those, there's a very little history or knowledge of Des and his contribution. You know, they're all new fans. They're all young, and we were in a different era then, you know. But I think his legacy will live forever in Dundalk. He was an icon football wise, and a brilliant ambassador. No matter where he went, if in football circles, if Des Casey was mentioned, you may be sure he was up the ladder there, and he had great clout at UEFA. He took us to a different level in UEFA. Very well respected, very well thought of at UEFA, and made some great inroads for the FAI, both financially and voting wise on different events. He was an icon.
yeah, and I'm sure, especially amongst yourself and your friends, you'll never forget him. And I suppose the funeral will probably it'll be jam packed, and there'll be people coming from the country and maybe even further afield to come over to pay
I
their
am sure
last
there will be.
respects.
I am sure there will be, and I'm sure UEFA will send definitely someone to the funeral tomorrow. I'm positive of that. But it'll be a massive occasion for the town, and you'll see football faces there from I'm sure from all over England and Ireland there, because he was so well respected.
Yeah, incredible. And then obviously, are you heading down to the match tomorrow night yourself?
I'm heading to Wexford. That's why I'm doing Guard of Honour going into the church, and I have
Lovely.
to be away quickly. I'm going to Wexford to the cup match. So
Yeah, you couldn't miss out in the match, and
no,
obviously with Ryan
I
now
know. Then but
he's come into the side the last couple of weeks, and he started the last couple of games, and look, a couple of lads, Gally especially, has been crying out for him to get a sustained run in the team. And I suppose, look, uh, with Dan Kelly getting injured, it's probably pushed him on even further, and it's great that Stevie's put his faith in him and has trusted him with more playing time and starting the games. How do you think he's done over the last couple of weeks yourself?
well, he's given me a new lease of life, you know. And like I now, even when he was with the 19s, I went to all the 19 matches he played in too, you know. So it's great. Like as I say, I would go to nearly every game of the league, home and away. It'd be only occasion if I was going on holiday or away for a weekend that I'll miss a match. But I haven't missed many now since he was involved at all, and it's great. I'm going to Wexford tomorrow now, and Sligo on Monday, and hopefully he'll get a bit of game time. That's all he wants, you know. And the club and Stephen and the backroom staff are dealing brilliantly with him, and he loves it up there. He just loves going into do the training, and he's listening and taking all the advice on board. And he works very, very hard off the field too. He spent literally the whole winter now, and I mean the whole winter, in Oriel Park in the gym, and he had a personal trainer is working on his speed, and that's the type of a guy he is. He doesn't drink. He's hell bent on giving everything he has to being successful with Dundalk.
Yeah, and you can sort of see the wee progressions every week, and just even knowing what sort of a kid he is. Like, you see certain pictures coming up on Facebook, and every time there's a trophy presentation, he's down to help out, and it's little things like that sort of connects the club. And him being so young, like he's a great head and his shoulders, and he's trying to maximize himself, be the best player he can be, and it's incredible to see. I seen his dad posting a load of videos on Instagram of him training in the back garden, and he's
Yeah,
jumping over
yeah,
hurdles, and he's finishing balls and everything. But look, the likes of that's even inspiring for the younger generation coming up and going. It's not you just see a player going on to the pitch and they don't see the hard work behind it. But little insights like that is incredible me having young sons myself, like, you
Yeah,
can, point to that and go, look, it's not just you show up on a match day, you have to do the hard work behind it as well. So
absolutely. Well, Barry certainly put him through his paces over the last couple of years there. And Barry is a very, very big garden. Uh, and it was like a training ground at Anfield or somewhere, He has goals and walls up and rebounders, and he has everything. Cones, he works them very hard. And I think at one stage he tied a stone to his left foot to develop it.
Little stories here like that are great, but no, it's fantastic to see one of our own, a local in the side, and doing so well. Like, everyone's so excited about him, and he's that sort of a player. As soon as he gets the ball, you have a feeling something's going to happen. He's going to create a chance, or score a goal soon. So hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully it's tomorrow night.
Well, hopefully over the weekend he might get one. Yeah, but listen, he's really enjoying it, and he's enjoying his playing time. And I like we all said to him, be patient, Ryan. I would rather see him there in the games that he was coming on for 20 minutes, and that was introducing him. I thought that was the Dundalk handled him very well, and then with Danny Kelly getting injured, he got a bit more game time, and that's the way. Like he's progressing all the time, and he's learning. He wants to learn, and he listens to everyone and all the advice, and the players love him up there. He's like a baby to them, so he loves going into work every day.
Yeah, I'm sure the boys look after him well. So, but yeah, look, I won't hold you back any longer. So, thanks for coming on and having a chat. It was great as always, and hopefully we have a couple of wins to cheer about into the next round of the cup and get a result in Sligo as well.
That's it, Steph. Yeah, no, listen, it was lovely to speak about Des, and as I say, an icon in football and in the League of Ireland circles, and his love for his own hometown was just immense. There was nowhere he'd rather be than in Oriel Park on match day.
Yeah, a fitting tribute tomorrow at his funeral, and I'm sure there'll be a big turnout for everyone to show their respects. So a true Dundalk and footballing legend as RIP.
Right, Steph. Thanks very much. Right. All the best. Bye. Talk to you soon. Bye.